We are experiencing a time of transformation. How can we begin to rewrite our story? I'm Chelsea, and this is the Amara Ritual Podcast. Join me as we journey together through our inner landscape and begin to create outer change. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am here with my dear friend, Kat, literally one of my best friends. And yeah, super impromptu. We were on a call today catching up like we do, and we had a great conversation. It just started going in all these different ways, and we were talking about like what's alive for us, what we're moving through, what we're deepening into. And we were like, why don't we press record? Like, there is medicine in this conversation, always. Jokingly, we're always like, we should start a podcast with these conversations, right? But yeah, so we felt inspired, we're really deepening into this process of like being these vessels for what wants to be created through us. And so what a beautiful moment other than now to do that. So welcome, Kat.
Thanks, Chels. Always a pleasure to be with you in any format.
Oh man. Yeah, I always, I feel like you and I we're we're so alike, right? Because we love having these deep conversations, but also like we're both very playful and we like to have fun and just like I think we're really we also connect because we are often navigating very similar things in our lives, even though they might look different, right? That whenever we reconnect, we're like, whoa, we are on the same wavelength, right? And yeah,
Always.
yeah.
It always happens that way. And right now is no different. Like right now, these times, everything going on, we're right there with each other.
Yeah, and I think so many of us are, right? It's like that's why we open up these conversations because we know that like collectively, like there are groups of us going through these changes together. And so that's like the more that we can have these conversations, the better. And to remember that we are not alone, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we're gonna keep this candid. We're gonna keep this short, but we're gonna dive in. And I think that the conversation that was really alive for us both is, yeah, this like creating the space in our life right now, really like creating the space in our life to experience the depth of what wants to come through us at this time. And I think there's so much change and transformation. And I will say, upheaval and chaos happening in the world right now. And how do we, as we are experiencing this and witnessing this, how do we also create the space in our life to be the conduit for what wants to come through us, right? Like, this is the evolution. Like, this is like such a pivotal time is now. And so not only is everything coming to the surface to be seen and witnessed and moved through and transformed, right, outside of us, but it is also happening within us as well. And so I
Mhm.
think for us, we're like really deepening into, this next iteration of this process, right? Where yeah, like we've done a lot of that healing work. We've done a lot of that, soul exploration. That's a huge part of the process, but also how do you create the space for that? And now we're really being called to create the space to deepen into the depth of what is wanting to be experienced through us
Mhm.
in a nutshell.
just casually. Yeah, and it feels like simplicity. Like there is a call to simplicity. There's a call to stripping away what is not needed, what is no longer like maybe it served us for a time, but it's like time to discard all of these things that are making our lives way more complex, right? So like we were talking, simplicity and how we both have been called into slowing
Yeah.
down, being still, and being in a space of listening, um, which is so counter to, yeah, I'll speak for myself here. There have been periods where I've been in like this, striving or just like, efforting or just, doing, doing. And I've always been humbled when I've been in those periods of time because nature, you know, there is no urgency in nature. There's actually an invitation to slow down and listen because it's from that place of listening that we can actually hear very clearly what the next direction is, um, what the soul aligned direction is, right? When we give ourselves a space and the time to drop into our bodies, drop into our heart, tune into the rhythm of the earth, the rhythm that your womb is asking for you, then you get to move forward in this. More harmonious way where it's clear what the next step is. And I feel like we are in this time right now where we're being invited to, yes, there's a revving up of energy. Yes, there's big invitations for us to step into more of our light and shining that out and offering and serving and helping in these ways. But there's also this simultaneous call into um, listening and dropping into the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Spaciousness to
Hmm.
listen, to be, and to embody is like really feels very fulfilling and very true right now. It's almost like this craving for it, right? And this, I think it happens, it's a very depth, there's a presence to it. And I think most of our lives we were told to like fill like our life with these things or to do. And yes, we are creators. We are here to create an experience, and it is important, right? And simultaneously, I think many of us right now, as we're experiencing these shifts, it's like, wait, wait, listen, and then we're also feeling the profundity in these simple moments, right? It really is about coming back to the basics right now. For so many people that I talk to, so many people are feeling this, right? And it's like it's yeah, I think we try to sometimes overthink things or of how it should be or what we should be doing. And it's like I think when we are faced with that, like slow down and listen to what is wanting to be felt through you and created through you, it can feel outside of the norm of what we've typically been taught or shown, right? But that is the soul-led life, right? That
Hmm.
is part of the soul-led journey. And I feel like when we have all these things kind of muddling the field or these to-do lists that are so long, right? It's like we have to put this in our to-do list, right? To create the space, for this presence to come through.
Hmm. Yeah. And what you said around like the basics, there's this return to the basics and these like foundational practices. And for me, what that's been, how that's been showing up in my life is like cultivating this like more masculine connection with how I am moving through my days, right? Like there's this call for greater structure. There's this call for discipline and like really committing to certain practices. And so I've been really committing to my writing practice. That's been coming through really strongly, like, an hour a day, like non-negotiable writing and just, being in that space of channeling what wants to come through. And that feels really good. That feels so good to just root into something. um, knowing that that's building the next thing.
Mhm.
There's a simplicity in that.
Yeah, the simplicity is not so simple, right? It's actually quite profound. And yeah, that's over the past couple years, especially, I've been hearing like, it's all right here. It's all right here. My cat's coming to join us. And yeah, I've been deepening into that and um it really is. It's like, how do I say this? It's in the moments that may feel more mundane that are actually the moments that I'm able to have these experiences of feeling a lot of fulfillment and a lot of clarity. And I feel like a lot of soul inner guidance and also just like heartfelt embodiment, like this feeling of like it really is all right here, right? um Not to dismiss like creating and taking action, but it's an integral part of that, right? It's like no longer are we being asked to create in these ways that we were before, and I think that we're getting our okay, channeling's coming through. Our vessel is being purified, right? It's being cleared and cleansed so that we can create from a space of authenticity and truth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big purification process in so many ways. And like we were t talking about earlier, there's this like perfectionist piece that so many people, including us, have been working through around like we're letting go of this idea that things have to look a certain way. We're letting go of like we are just coming back into a space of authenticity, realness, rawness, just letting it be messy. And I think that that's the antidote for a lot of this like old world, things have to be this way and this like rigidity. There's this, your cat. There's, there's this healing balm in letting things be messy and letting your humanness be seen and expressed. You know,
Mhm.
letting yourself be seen in the process and in the becoming rather than at the end point. That's something, there's just so many layers that are being shed right now, like you're saying, in order to really embody what we're here to embody, right? To be the teachers, leaders, guides, mentors, like anyone who's here to bring light and to help contribute in making this a more beautiful world. Like there is this this threshold that we cross where we have to just stop focusing on me, my ego, my insecurity, my self-doubt. I don't think I'm ready, blah, 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 blah. There's a threshold that we cross into actually, it's not about me, it's about the people that I could serve. It's coming through with this heart of service. And yeah, I feel like a lot of the shedding that's happening right now is helping to usher in more embodiment in like
Yeah.
teaching, leading, guiding, showing up, shining your light. All of that
Yeah.
is being encouraged.
Yeah. And serving the self and other, right? It happens in unison.
Mhm.
There's a spot where it can happen together to serve the self and the other. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. And even as you were talking about like being more authentic and getting away from perfection and having everything buttoned up, like my cat, I don't know if you could hear, she was meowing and meowing and meowing to go outside. See, she's on point. She's here. It's like this little beautiful mirror, you know, and it's like, it's okay. We don't have to edit this out, you know, like this is, you know, it's okay. Um, but yeah, I feel that so deeply, Kat. Yeah. You know, I've been finding a lot of, it's like I always hear like we need to fill our cup in order to be that which is needed.
Mhm.
And I've been feeling a lot of peace in, especially just like coming back to the basics of just like um, being out in nature, gardening, putting my hands in the dirt. Oh my God, hiking. I've been loving to go on hikes. So have you,
Mhm.
petting my cat, going to the grocery store and just cooking myself some wholesome meals. Like I feel like that has been filling my cup, listening to music and dancing and spending time with friends and community and sharing in these ways have been really just, yeah, so it is. It's like it doesn't have to include all the bells and whistles, and I don't think it's supposed to.
Mhm.
Like, what are ways that you're like, you said a little bit, but like coming into your more disciplined embodiment, but what are like actual tangible ways too that you're like doing this, right?
Mhm. I feel like as a human species, we need more time out in nature and off of the grid, out of the house, off of the grid that we're on, being in cities. And,
Yeah.
um, I went for a hike the other day and just thinking it would be like pretty lengthy amount of walking. But what was actually called for was to find this perfect rock to sit on, and I ended up sitting on this rock for hours, just sitting, praying, meditating, and just being in that space. And I received so much. I received so much. It's like so much was organized in terms of like something that I'm creating and something that I'm working through. So much was organized just being on the land. And I feel like that level of simplicity, like it's so simple. Like just go be on the land and receive rather than being in these boxes and trying to figure things out, you know? There's like an easeful flow that I'm experiencing. There's so much more flow than times past. And it seems to be precipitated by this sort of like surrendering to a slower pace. Like for example, I just moved here to Colorado, and I don't know why I do this. I think it's part of like my Aries ego parts that they have this belief that I'm gonna, get to this new chapter or this new thing, and I'm gonna hit the ground running. There's so many things I want to do, so much I want to create, all of that, right? And it's just so funny how I I've always been humbled in these periods. And I get here and my cycle is coming on strong, and it it reminded me like, oh yeah, the womb sets the pace. The womb sets the pace, and just like slowing down. And then I was called to fast for 3 days, like water fast. The funny thing about a fast is that it actually slows you down. Like you're meant to slow down. And so yeah, I'm just always continually humbled by this pace that the mind runs at, that the ego mind has this thought of how things should go.
The
And then
conditioned mind.
exactly the conditioned mind, it just has this like belief, and yeah, just surrendering into what actually is needed, and what I'm being reminded of in this current period of time. It's like it's actually about slowing down and dropping into stillness and being in this space where you can fully and truly listen to what's being asked of you, because then you get to move forward in such a like a cleaner way energetically. It's just yeah, there's like what's coming through is this, there's no need to effort. And that doesn't mean like there's no need to take action. That's different from taking inspired action. But I guess the type of effort that I'm referring to is the egoic, kind of driven effort. There's that striving, that like, let's like go, go, go. There's this quieting, this softening of that I'm really feeling, which is actually far more productive, you know? And
Yeah.
there's seasons where the energy's like, let's go, like strike while the iron's hot. But there's seasons that are so much more generative and productive when we're in the spaces of like listening,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I think, yeah, it's like I'm seeing an image of a waterfall, like effortless, right? The flow, like you said, like when you created, when you were on that rock sitting, right, creating the space, it actually like it flowed in at a greater capacity that felt more effortless to receive those downloads and insight and just fill your cup, right? Um, but it's like the way that I know how to kind of explain it in the sense of efforting, it's not, again, not taking action because we want to take action on the things we want to create and do and be,
Hmm.
but it's like efforting in the sense of, oh, this thing I want to create it, but it needs to be perfect. Oh, I need it to be like this. Oh, how's it going to be received? Oh, but what if I do it like this and spend more time on this and that? And I think that there is a beauty in creating something that is refined, right? If that's what we want to create. But then if there's a certain point where it can be holding us back, creating resistance, where it becomes an efforted task rather than this more flow-based creative task, right? So even this conversation now, I don't have my mic. I don't have all these things that like I feel like I'm like, oh, I should be doing this and that. And like, yes, of course, next time maybe I'll have my mic. But it's just getting out of our way. And because the energy was alive for us having this conversation rather than having it be something that we think it needs to be. Because you're right, it's way more productive, it's way more fulfilling, way more raw. And like that's what we want. We don't, so many of us are seeing through the illusions. It doesn't feel good. Like when you feel it and see it, you just want authenticity. That's what so many of us are want right now.
Yes. And I think
Yeah.
where a lot of this perfectionism or like it has to be this way, it comes from like if you were to trace it back, it's like there's this belief that we're not worthy as we are, or that we're not good as we are, and we're piercing through that illusion and we challenge it every time we let ourselves be seen in our humanity, in our realness. And that's something that's really been coming through really strongly for me because there's this like really rigid ego part. And I call this part Kathleen. And Kathleen enters the chat every time I'm like creating something.
Kathleen.
And Kathleen, and Kathleen is like the inner editor. She's the archetype of the inner editor. Wait, but you could say it like this, or you could do it like this, or what if you did it this way? And what Kathleen does, and for anyone who can relate to having this inner editor, it dilutes the potency of the message. It dilutes how things want to flow through. And I mean, how many times do we do this? How many times do we receive a message, receive an insight or a little nugget that we get to share, but then like the egoic mind comes in for the ride and wants to, shift it, refine it in a certain way, and then it kind of dilutes
Yeah.
how it came in, And so I feel like what's been coming through a lot for me is really embracing messiness. And because to the egoic mind, it's messy, but it's really just being human. It's just showing up in like all of our different flavors and moods and
Yeah.
phases and yeah, I think that's what we're moving into, right?
Yeah.
And I know for me, I love seeing people that are real. I love listening to a podcast and like someone coughs or sneezes or, like it's not edited out. Like when did we get to this point where every single space or gap has to be edited out or every like, you know, I just,
It's taking our life force. That's
yeah,
how it feels, right?
yeah.
Or it's, I think that there is a beauty in the refinement process, right? But if you find that it's actually like taking your life force away and making it harder it's like at what point are you out of the flow or this fluidity, right? It's like allowing it to be messy and like fluid and flow and just be this channel and this conduit. And if It's like you want to refine it, beautiful too, but as long as it's like this dance.
Yeah. And when it comes to the creation process, like if for any kind of creative artist, anyone who's working on something, it's like creative energy wants to flow through us, and we kind of obstruct the flow. We create like a dam with our thoughts and our limiting beliefs and our, like
Yeah.
it just keep getting this image of like a dam that we create within ourselves. Um, which comes from this, again, this egoic part that wants things to look a certain way rather than letting it flow how it wants to flow. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just been a lot coming through around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the shift, right? It's part of our evolvement in our consciousness, right? Like we have this awareness now that we may not have before. And that's why we're seeing like in our outer world, like with our systems and our structures and our politics, like everything that's not sustainable, everything that can't come with us, like what's not at the same resonance of where our consciousness is coming up to the surface, right? And it's like being a light is shining on it so brightly for us to look at it, right? And it's like this is just one aspect of that, right? And so we're like stripping away all of these things that we truly are not, that we can't bring it with us. And man, there are so many edges that we have to walk through and so many like, whoa, right? It really is quite the process. But yeah, whenever I come back to it, it's like it's sustainability, it's the truth, it's that's where we're headed. You know, the heart, you know. Does it resonate with the heart, you know, but jokes aside, yeah, and I think so that's part of that's why, you know, it's like yeah, you're not going crazy. You're not having like we're all having these awakenings, right? We're all having these aha moments and it's an unfoldment. And it's also a beautiful unfoldment, but we have to also meet it, right? It's a co-creation. This evolution is being co-created through us. Like we are a bridge and it's happening through us. And so it's like when we get these intuitive pulls to connect with nature, slow down, be more present, you know, look at how are we creating in these ways that are like really resistant, you know, it's like we see it, we have this awareness of it, we're feeling the intuition, but also are we acting on it? And
Mm,
that's where we face the edge. That's where we face that is where the evolution happens, is in meeting that edge and either choosing different or, you know, choosing to do it in this new way. You know, it's like evolve or repeat, right? So,
mm.
yeah, it's really profound.
Yeah, beautifully said. And what's coming up for me as you said that, there's like this piece around like obedience that I've been really sitting with of like when you receive divine guidance, when you receive an idea to create something, like are you acting on it or are you just putting it on the shelf and just like, there's something to be said around like receiving something and then taking action on it while it's hot, while it's flowing, because if we are here to be channels and vessels for literally creating a beautiful world, then it really requires, yes, the stillness, yes, the receiving, but also the footwork,
Yeah.
you know? Like being the hands
Yeah.
and feet of the divine and like bringing things into form in the ways that are coming through us for us to create, and it's different for everyone based off of our unique gifts, talents, and abilities that we've been given. And yeah, there's just this piece around obedience, like how much are you listening and actually acting upon the divine guidance that you're receiving, right?
Obedience. Yeah. Obedience, devotion.
Mm,
And also, I'm hearing like it's okay to put it on the shelf till you're ready. too, right? It's a practice. So it's like the devotion to taking action and meeting yourself where you're at, right? Like it's okay to know that it's here and it's ready for you when you're ready. Not to beat yourself up about, okay, there's these fear thresholds. Oh, okay, can I go there? You will go there, right? And having grace and compassion for ourselves. But you're right. I think that's like the next level is when you're just acting on it. You're like, here we go, you don't feel, and the more you do that, the less resistance you feel because it is
Yeah,
this practice. We are relearning how to walk and talk, you know?
exactly. And like the fear thresholds that you just mentioned, like the thing that's like preventing us from perhaps moving into that bigger expression, that bigger edge. Nervous system work. There is something to be said around like nervous system work, like what parts of you need to be addressed or worked with, spoken to, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
just I keep feeling like this connection to stillness and nature and creating safety within your own being to actually take those big leaps and those big edges. Because
Yeah.
an edge is just the edge of your comfort zone of familiarity. And, for me, it's like you're at the edge and you know what you're being called into. You know exactly what that is. And it's just like needing to meet it and to say yes to it. And yeah, I've been in periods of waiting where I've been like waiting, and just realizing that it wasn't about waiting for divine timing. It was waiting for me to choose the thing and to say yes to it and to show up and do what is needed. And um, yeah, so it's such a multi-layered process.
Yeah, I love how you said that. It's like divine timing versus you being ready, right? And I think we're always given these opportunities, right? And it's not just in, you know, it's not even in like what we do in terms of our career or what we want to create or our art or it actually is also it's like in our relationships, in our conversations, in our ways of being, it's like they're all opportunities and there's these edges are found within all of it, right? And
Hmm.
I think it is, our nervous system is like, oh, like I can do this later, I can meet this later, this, but actually like the present moment is a very powerful and profound, you know? It's like
Yeah.
where, yeah, once you realize, oh wait, it can happen now. It really can, right? So
Yes.
yeah, and I'm finding that in this present moment, that's the depth. That's where the depth is, whether it's on a hike and being in nature and looking at all the beautiful moss and flowers and trees and sounds, or whether it's taking time for myself to create and write and channel, whether it's connecting with a client or a friend or a loved one or cooking dinner. It's like there's a profundity. And I feel like when you create the space to really be in it, that profundity can really come through. It's like it's a feeling, it's an energy, it's an embodiment, and I don't think we can really put it into words, right? But I feel it, and I feel it in the heart, right? It's that all of our hearts are opening, all of our hearts are awakening. So many of us are feeling it, right? There's a sense of clarity and peace, but also this real profundity, what wants to be experienced through us. And it is really a co-creation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, Charles, how do you bring coherence to like your mind and your heart?
Mm.
How?
Yeah, so one thing I feel all of us are doing at this time is bridging the gap between the mind and the heart. I think for most of our lives, and we were up here, And now we're bringing it down more into the body, more into the heart, and seeing how this correlation, it's a lot of times I know that I'm in my mind when I'm in my fear, when I'm in my thoughts, overthinking. You know the feeling, right? There's a resistance. And so whenever I feel like I'm at this place where maybe most of my life I didn't have the awareness to actually know that that was happening. Like I couldn't really observe like I can now. Now when it happens, I instantly I observe the situation and I see it for what it is. And I'm able in these situations when I am feeling that fear or resistance or feeling really heady, overthinking something, I'm aware of it. And I say, okay, I see you, but I choose trust over fear. How can I drop into the heart? How would the heart respond? And my best friend, like, she said this the other day, and she was like, I don't think fear can live in the heart. I don't think that they actually, like, if you're in your heart, you can't be in fear. And I was like, you're so right. You're absolutely right. And you notice that the more you drop into trust and you drop into that feeling of like the here and now and trust, and then the fear starts to almost dissipate just from that one perspective shift alone. And a lot of times it's a perspective shift. Um, and I like to get into my body. I like to move and dance and sing, and that instantly drops me from my head to my heart, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar to me, like everything you just said. It's no wonder how, there's this rise in embodiment work and like movement-based practices to drop into the body and to come into the heart. And yeah, like you said, there's this recognition of, oh, I'm in my fear right now, or I'm in fear. Interesting. And like for me, part of my practice is like observing it, witnessing it, calling it out, like, oh, there's fear here. Hello. And just kind of like observing it like a witness, observing its stories, observing the downward spiral that it wants to take me on, because it's all just like it's that identification with that part that is scared. And so like I zoom out and observe it. And I'm like, what is this actually like? What's at the core of this fear? What does it actually think that it's threatened by? And just kind of understanding it has been really helpful for me. Like, oh, that's just coming from this fear of XYZ or this, and dropping into the heart, just like Ram Dass has this, um, or he has explained like this practice of breathing in and out of the heart as if the heart had nostrils on it. And just like imagine that you're breathing in and out. And ever since I heard that, I've always just like envisioned breathing through the heart and just like letting each inhale and exhale kind of burn off these little tendrils of fear that really just like cloud your field. Um, and then, yeah, I love that you brought in trust, like surrendering it, like for me, like giving it to God, like this, I'm giving this to you. Like I'm not meant to hold this. Like this isn't me. This isn't my true self. This is a not self that's holding this and wants to like
Mhm.
grip onto this. So yeah, I feel like that's another piece that humanity is evolving into is this learning how to come into greater coherence with the heart
Mm.
and shifting out of these old archaic ways of like, just letting these fear programs just keep running, running, running. It's like part of our job as cycle breakers is like putting an end to these sort of generational cycles and ways of being that we've learned and inherited in our inner genes. Like, it's just, there's so much like there's so many different directions I could go
So
into, but
many.
like right, but you know what I mean, like it's there's so much happening concurrently, like cycles closing, ways of being ending, other ways of being that are starting that are more actually aligned and true and based in the heart. And it's just fascinating to see how this is playing out in like the human arena and the different, even like healing modalities that are arising, or the different ways in which people are returning to a pure sacred connection to the divine. And it's just fascinating to witness.
1000%. Yeah. Yeah, we are truly. And it's like it's happening in each of us, maybe at different times, maybe at different rates, but really that's where we're headed, is we're coming back into the heart. And we are the bridge, we are the cycle breakers. It's true. Um, and I think that's why it's so important to, yeah, do those things that fill our cup right now, have compassion, create that space, because I think I say this all the time. We are healing lifetimes in the blink of an eye. And I think sometimes I think about the magnitude of this time and I'm like, wow. But I think you said it like perfectly. There was something that I wanted to say. It will probably come back around, but yeah, it, yeah, we'll see. I think, yeah, it's coming back. So I think that it's not that the fear goes away. It's more like our relationship to the fear. Um, I have had moments in like my journey where actually I've had moments where I actually won't feel the fear. Like it'll kind of dissipate for a while and I'll feel really embodied, and then I'll kind of come back, and I think it's just a frequency thing. It's kind of like my body getting used to these energetics that we're stepping into, where I do think fear will be less of the mainstream narrative, right? But it's kind of at this moment, for me at least, fear still rises. And I think that it's our relationship to fear, and many times my fear is not from like a actuality. It's more a what if. And I think that's helped me a lot with my relationship with fear. It's always like me getting into the what if, right? It's not actually real. And that helps me integrate it, and also know that like a lot of times when I'm crossing a new threshold, maybe stepping outside of my comfort zone, I'll meet a fear or an edge. And now I have this new relationship with fear, where instead of seeing it as like something that's like daunting, I see it as, oh, I'm up leveling.
Mm,
I'm up leveling. Or maybe if it's a conversation where, yeah, it's vulnerable. Like if I have to open my heart, right? It's like I feel that fear, or it's like, ooh, but this is an opportunity to approach this from a new way, right? I'm up
mhm.
leveling. I'm up leveling. That's kind of how it feels now. It's rather than this thing that's a heavy weight on top of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that reframe. That's such an empowering, liberating reframe. It's like your fear is just signaling to you that you're expanding, you're growing, you're meeting an edge that you get to cross and you will survive it, And I
Yeah.
forgot where I heard this. I think, trying to remember where I heard this. But anyway, it's this saying that fear is a mile long and an inch deep. So like it looks like this big, daunting thing that that's all you could see in the distance, but it actually doesn't have depth to it. Like it's not something that has power over you, or and so I feel like so much of our journey is working with fear, right? It's not like fear isn't the enemy, just like the ego isn't the enemy. It's like how are we relating to these things, you know? And Pema Chodron, she has this way of relating to fear. I think it's her. Like inviting it in for tea. Like if it's a friend and you're inviting it in, and that always stuck with me of like getting to know our fears rather than instantly resisting them, pushing them away. Oh, it's this thing I have to get rid of. But like learning it, I'm like, huh, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see that you came from a childhood pattern. Okay, understand. But you're not going to drive the car
Yeah.
because we both know that you are a terrible driver and there's not going to be any good outcomes if you're driving the car. So I see you and I hear you. I acknowledge you, but you're going to be in the back seat and I'm going to drive. And so, yeah, I love that. It's just fear is just always going to come on the journey. It's always going to be there with
Yeah.
this um, as we expand and grow and come into new expressions of ourselves. But we do
Yeah.
get to have faith that overpowers that fear. You know, we do get to
Faith.
act in faith. We do get to
Yes.
act in trust that we are being guided far greater than what we can imagine, you know, and
Yeah.
what a dance.
Yeah. It's a dance, right? Because it's like, yeah, it's a dance. I guess yesterday I was on a hike with my good friend Dan, and we were like pretty out there, and we woke up at like 5:30 in the morning for this hike. We were like the first ones out there. And at one point, I started kind of getting in my head about how we were like the only ones out there. No phone service, nothing. And I was like, Dan, I was like, do you think there's cougars out here? And he was like, yeah, probably. He's like, but that's not a fear that I'm gonna create space for in my mind right now. Like
Mm,
I have awareness that it's of course a possibility and I stay alert and I stay aware, but like I'm not gonna allow that fear to hold space in my mind right now. And I was like,
mm.
you're right. Yeah. And I was just like, that's such a cool way of saying it. Like, I'm not giving it the space right now because it's not an actuality of in this moment, it's like a what if, you know?
I love that. It's like you're choosing to not come into agreement with the fear. Like it's it's a choice. You could
Mhm.
either choose to go down that route or you could choose not to. And like, you
Yeah.
know, like a kind of like a trivial example of this is like people that are superstitious, um, or like don't, you know, walk under a ladder or like, you know,
I still don't walk under ladders. Hell no.
I think superstitions are really just like collective thought forms that people either choose to opt in on or not, you know?
Wow.
And so, so much of life is like that too. It's like, are you choosing to opt in on this fear-based belief, or is it totally not even a blip in your
Yeah.
reality? It's like you're not in agreement, you're not choosing it. It's not real
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. And it's true. It's like, yeah, it's like, are you going to allow this fear to take up all your space, or are you going to allow yourself to be more present with the moment of what actually is, and like, yes, maybe there's a cougar out there with us, but like that's an option, that is possibility, right? And you want to be safe and you want to have awareness that you're out in nature, right? And take, precautions, but am I going to let this fear dictate my whole hike? Or am I going to be in the moment of what is and the beauty that we're experiencing, right? And so it really is, it's like once you start seeing this perspective shift, you're like, oh, ooh, ooh, okay, okay, oh, ooh, ooh. And the more that you do that over time, it's like a computer. Our consciousness is like a computer. And so the more that you do that over time, you start almost retraining your brain. Instead of fear being your default setting, trust can become your default setting, right?
Yes. It's like you
Yeah.
get to choose what the inner algorithm is. Like you get to feed the algorithm with what thoughts you're actually giving energy to. And
Yeah.
so, like, how much of our lives have we put energy toward like fear-based, doubt-based thoughts? You know, it's like we have the power to shift the inner algorithm into like faith, trust, belief, you know,
Yeah.
empowerment, all the good things.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean bypass your experience or your emotions. Like, let me tell you, like, I am a Pisces moon in the 12th house. Like, I feel my emotions. I am always crying. But it's like not bypassing your experience, not bypassing your humanness, but realizing it's all energy, right? And moving it through us and like allowing yourself to feel it and like meeting yourself there and seeing it as an opportunity. And like that's where these subtle shifts that are not so subtle start creating dramatic shifts in your life.
Mhm.
And we've been experiencing it, and that's what humanity is walking through right now. There's one giant cloud of fear
Mm-hmm.
that is starting to dissipate. And when that fear, when you've been holding so tight to what is and realizing that a lot of what you were holding on to is rooted in what it's actually rooted in, that's an awakening in itself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that humanity is moving through this huge awakening and, you know, we are all on this path together. And yes, it's messy now. Yes, it's all coming to the surface now, but what's on the other side is so much expansion and change. And it's not only on the other side, it's already happening. So
Mm-hmm.
many of us are experiencing it in our life. Um, and it's here for us. It's time, you know?
Yeah. And the way I envision this is like it's like a globe, right? And there's all these little ding, 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 like everyone's lights, are turning on and people are awakening to their true nature and people are, having heart awakenings and it's just like increasing the radiance.
Mhm.
And we each play a part, and it's not like this separate, individualized thing. It's like we're all contributing to the whole in our own unique ways. Like all of our journeys are so different in how we wake up and how we come into our heart and our power and sharing our gifts and all of that. And it's just beautiful that this is
Yeah,
happening right now, and it's only going to continue
yeah,
to happen.
yeah. I'm kind of laughing too because before we started this call, we're like, yeah, I'll just jump on for 20 minutes, and now it's like an hour and a half later. You're like, yeah, and consciousness and the beauty of the this and that. I saw this meme the other day. My friend sent it to me, and she was like, "This is why I'm single." And he's like, "It's like this man. He's like, the breath of consciousness and life is where we all reside and come from." And it was like so funny because we do like we go there, and it's like sometimes you have to look at the cosmic humor of it all. But yeah, it's like that depth. It's like we're there. Like that's where we're at as a humanity. Like there's a it's true. So I think it's funny that we've now an hour later, right, diving into this, but
I love it.
I love it.
It's the balance. It's like we can have these beautiful conversations where we're seeing through the veil and we're talking about our experiences and consciousness. And then also it's like, oh yeah, I'm a human and I'd really love to eat some nachos right now. Like I've been craving nachos. Like,
I love an ice cold beer. Yeah. And we were talking about that, like yes, the simplicity, but also like this deepening into just like my humanness.
yeah.
I just feel like this feeling of wanting to just like move my body, like be a human, eat good food, spend time with friends and it's like because everything, like we're very spiritual people. It's just a part of who we are. I think every human is a spiritual person, whether they realize it or not, but it's like it doesn't have to come with all these bells and whistles. I think that's a part of the path of spirituality, but you kind of get through this next layer of like, wait, everything is spiritual. Every experience is spiritual. So I'm finding a lot of I'm feeling it really grounded and really just loving this the humanness of it as well. And yeah, that's been big for me lately. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I before we close up, I want to talk about this book. It's called Simple Abundance. Like I am not this is not a paid advertisement. I found this at a garage sale and it's actually like one of my favorite books. I have it on my bedside table, but as we were on the call, we were talking about this concept of simple abundance, right? The simplicity as actually this very abundant place. And I was like, Kat, I have this book. And we turned it to a random page. And of course, the random page was exactly like what we were talking about, right? So I also feel called to just share, share. It's a really short excerpt, but it says, "This is the season of renewal and replenishment. What better way to begin than meditate on English poet Edward Carpenter's assurance that all our needs will be satisfied by the great whole? Whatever we are waiting for, peace of mind, contentment, grace, the inner awareness of simple abundance, it will surely come to us, but only when we are ready to receive it with an open and grateful heart. While you are waiting patiently, take comfort and joy in simple springtime rituals of rejuvenation. A favorite of mine is to search for a new sacred space out in the world. This reminds me that we carry our serenity with us. A shady grove of trees in an old cemetery, a beautiful public garden that's new to you, a museum gallery, the stacks of an old library, even an outdoor cafe where you can sit basking in the sunshine, help you realize the boundless treasure and spiritual replenishment of a perfect solitary hour. It's literally you on the rock." I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sacred space and sacred time and something joyous to do is all we need. Almost anything then becomes a continuous and increasing joy.
Mm, I love that. The line that stuck out to me was like, you carry your serenity with you. Like
Yeah,
remembering, like there's a line in the Course in Miracles where it's like, there is a place within you where there is perfect peace.
there is.
And yeah, that inner sanctuary space we get to
Yeah,
carry with us no matter what we're doing, where we are.
yeah,
It's a beautiful reminder.
yeah. It really is, and I think that's that is the process, right? That's the path. What do they say? It's true. And whether you're getting glimpses of that, whether you're fully embodied in that, it doesn't, I mean, we all walk this path, right? And it's a practice. And after it's a practice, it becomes an embodiment and a way of being. And yeah, so yeah, is there anything else that's coming to mind for you? I yeah,
I mean, maybe like a reflection that we can offer our dear listeners is is to think about, really just reflect on like what parts of your life are asking to be simplified. Like what are some ways in which you can just strip away like all the complexity and all of the rules that you're making and like just all of that. Just
mhm,
how can you make things simpler for yourself?
yeah, I love that cat. Yeah, yeah, and you moving to Colorado, you've really had to simplify your life and your belongings and let go of a lot of things, jobs, at homes, and you're creating space for this next chapter. And even myself, like I had a relationship end a couple months ago, and I've feeling more spaciousness in my life even because of that, you know? It's like I think that we in this process there is this sometimes I don't know why I feel like called to say like there is a sometimes a process of letting go in your becoming, right? And there's a spaciousness in that as well. And I think that there's a fertile, it's very fertile. And just I'm seeing this image of someone breathing into that rather than feeling it. It's like breathing into that space
Hmm.
is really potent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
letting go allows you to be in like the void, but it's not the negative void that uh could sometimes a lot of people can feel like it can have the what I'm trying to say is the void can have a certain connotation,
It does. There's an energy
right?
to, yeah, it's like
But
totally.
but it's the fertile void upon which there are infinite possibilities, potentials, realities. And so it's just like reframing that when you let go and there's like this blank slate, this nice clean canvas that you get to paint on, like there's infinite possibilities. So if
Yeah.
for anyone listening that is in like this interesting in between point in which the old is leaving, but the new hasn't yet emerged, like it's like that in between, just acknowledging that it's like this beautiful fertile void, and all we got to do is just let go of the old, let go of, yeah, it doesn't feel resonant, aligned, or true anymore.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I want to call, instead of calling it the void, I want to call it like the soil.
Mm,
I need a new word. I feel like the void, right? It's like there's an energy behind it. It's like I want to call it like the soil, the fertile soil. The
mm,
oh my God, like we're getting soil actually for the garden today. It's like composted. Like think about compost. Oh
mm.
my gosh.
Yes.
Ah, the metaphor. It's like this old death that's been composted and you but that compost is what brings life. And it's
Mm,
like it's these cycles we find in everything, right? But it's, yeah, I'm gonna call it the soil, this fertile soil to plant our seeds and to bloom and blossom and regenerate and
mm.
grow.
Yeah, I love the garden analogies, right? Like our old identities and our old parts of our life, like it just becomes the fertilizer for what's coming, what's growing.
Yeah. Well, I love having deep conversations with you, Kat, and it's been so much fun. And for everyone listening, thank you for being a part of this journey. And yeah, just really profound times. And yeah, I feel, there's a it's all I think there's a much more intelligent and greater orchestration than we can really comprehend, right? So that helps me trust into this entire process really deeply and, but yeah, really profound times. Yeah.
Yes, so grateful to be on the journey with you, Chels.
Yeah. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Kat, do you want to share how people can find you?
Sure. I am on Instagram, cat.elliot, Elliot, and my other links are on there as well.
Yeah, you can find Kat. She's a beautiful writer, a channel, an energy healer, a mentor, and one of my dear, dear friends. So, loving you all.
So much love.
So much love.
Bye.